Yeah, as you can see, my area is clearly a mess. This is gonna be bad audio, so I hope I can clean it up, but, I have a whole mess happening here, and I thought it would be funny to start off this video with a whole cleaning montage instead of video, so let's do that. Hey guys, and welcome to yet another video. You see, this happens to be our final video of October 2019, and I do not have an Inktober for you today because I didn't want to. So instead, I have the first installment of a new series called The Practice Book, which is purely for practice, obviously. I suggest that any young artist does this because it has helped me already, and I've only done 2 of these. But they're great. So basically, when I find something I need to work on, I'll sit down and practice, obviously, right? So on one page, we'll sketch, right? And on the next page, you just draw it and see how well it comes out. And if it comes out good, you did it right. And if it didn't, then keep practicing, obviously. So our first installment today is hands, because we're all bad at hands. But now that I've told you all about that, I have one more unplanned creepypasta for you this year in Spoopy Month. Today's story is very, very short. It's a story from the husband of a deranged wife entitled My Wife is Scaring Me While She's Asleep. It was written by user/dullbeats12, and the link, as always, will be in the description below. So the last few nights have been really fucking creepy. It wasn't until Thursday night that I really started to fear for my safety. You see, my wife, Jamie, has just recently started sleepwalking/talking. The weird part is it doesn't sound like her. Her voice gets hoarse and wheezy sounding like she's smoked the past 30 years of her life. I'll start from the first night. It was Wednesday, I think. It was 11:30 p.m. I remember that because I was struggling to fall asleep, checking the clock every 5 minutes, counting down the hours I had to wake up and how much sleep I would get. "You better stay in bed or else," Jamie shouted, sending me jumping 2 feet in the air. I stared at her with saucers for eyes, my heart hammering in my chest from being startled. After a minute or 2 of silence, I couldn't help but laugh at myself. I must have looked hilarious popping in the air like that. "Don't you fucking laugh, I'll rip your spinal cord out and shove it down your throat." Her voice sounded more raspy than before. "Jesus, Jamie, what in the hell are you dreaming about?" I said out loud, hoping she would wake up. She smiled this huge grin, bigger than I've ever seen on a person smile before. I was officially getting a little creeped out. "If you don't roll over and shut the fuck up, I'll make you swallow every tooth in your mouth," she said in the same raspy voice. This was starting to get to be too much for me, so I did as my sleeping wife demanded and rolled over, closing my eyes. "Good boy." Her voice sent shivers up my spine. The rest of the night I couldn't fall back asleep. I listened to the occasional creepy laugh come from Jamie, followed by heavy snores. After a restless night, I was pretty relieved to see the sun start to shine in through the windows. I deemed it safe enough to get out of bed and head downstairs to put a pot of coffee on. Tonight was going to be a long, tiring day at work. After a few minutes, I heard the stairs creak as Jamie must have woken up. Sure enough, she rounded the corner a few seconds later, yawning. "Morning, babe," she said sleepily. "Morning," I replied. I debated on whether to tell her about last night, but in the end decided against it. I was tired and grumpy, and honestly, she can talk too much sometimes, and I was just too tired to listen to her yammer on. After we drank our coffee, we got ready for work to start our usual day. Work was horrible as I was struggling to stay awake all day, and of course it dragged on, too, as I eagerly waited for 4 o'clock to come so I could go home and relax. After an eternity, it was finally time to go home, and I had completely forgotten about the previous night. Jamie was already home, as she only works 5 hours a day and gets out at 1 p.m. She was cooking dinner, thankfully, as I was starving. After we ate dinner, I was eager to get to bed, exhausted. I didn't even get dressed in pajamas. I just laid in bed and passed out. Sometime later in the night, I woke up to hot air on my face. I struggled to open my tired eyes, and when I finally did, I shrieked like a little girl. Jamie was like 3 inches from my face, panting heavily, and her eyes were open so wide she looked just like a crazy woman. "Jamie, what the fuck?" I shouted as my heart pounded. She said nothing, just stared. "Jamie, you need to wake up. You're scaring me," I shouted. She stopped panting and froze, glaring at me with those wild eyes. Her lips slowly started to part into the biggest fucking smile I have ever seen. "Jamie, knock it off," I pleaded. "Jamie, knock it off," she mimicked. I was shocked when I heard her voice. It no longer sounded like Jamie's at all. It was a deep, guttural growl. I stared at her in disbelief. No way I was dealing with just sleep-talking here. There was something seriously wrong, like she was possessed. "It's almost time, dear," she grumbled. Her laugh after she spoke chilled me to the bone. I had never been so afraid in my life. Then after she finished laughing, her body went limp and she was snoring heavily. I was left laying awake all night again, too afraid to go back to sleep. When morning finally did come, I got up and called in sick. "Hey, babe, what's wrong?" I didn't even notice Jamie come into the room. "I'm not feeling so well today, babe. I called in," I said with a yawn. I hadn't decided to talk to her yet. If I did, it would be when she got home this afternoon. "Here, let me call in too, babe. I'll take care of you," she said with a warm smile. "No!" I yelled before I could stop myself. She looked at me with a puzzled look. I just want to sleep, babe. Plus, with me missing work today, we could use the money," I lied. "You sure?" she asked. I nodded and thanked her for the offer. I planned on sleeping the majority of the day, but if she were home, I'd be too creeped out. I felt sad, knowing I was afraid of my own wife. We'd been best friends and lovers for 13 years. Here I was now terrified of her. After she left, I plopped down on my recliner with some pizza rolls and dozed off as soon as I finished my unhealthy breakfast. I must have been exhausted because I woke hours later to the sound of Jamie coming in. "Hey, how you feel?" she asked with a sympathetic look in her eyes. "After getting some sleep, I feel much better," which was completely true. I also felt better because while eating my pizza rolls earlier, I thought of a plan. I was going to tell Jamie that I wasn't tired since I napped all day and was going to stay downstairs and watch TV. That way, I could sleep without her creepy nighttime episodes and then talk to her the following day, since we both had the day off. After a while of relaxing and watching movies while eating dinner, Jamie asked if I wanted to go to bed. I told her I was going to stay up a while, and she gave me a kiss, then headed up to bed. My plan worked perfectly. I sat awake for quite a while watching more TV. I must have dozed off because, once again, I woke up to noises, this time coming from the kitchen. I stayed as still as possible and listened closely. I heard what sounded like metal scraping against each other. "It's finally time. The big night is here," Jamie talked to herself with that raspy voice I gotten used to hearing at night. I was honestly terrified of what she was planning on doing, so as quietly as possible, I rolled off the side of the recliner and tiptoed over to the kitchen to spy on what she was doing. My blood ran cold at what I saw. Jamie had a big kitchen knife and was scraping it on the knife sharpener. Her head kept snapping from side to side, making an awful cracking noise. I turned around and quietly ran back to the living room, looking for a place to hide. I settled on the closet where we hung out coats. It's the kind that has slits in the doors, which would allow me to see if she was heading my way. And that way, I'd be prepared to defend myself if she attacked. "Where are you, boy?" she called from the left in the kitchen doorway. My heart started pounding so loud, I thought she'd hear it. She stormed through your living room, searching for me. She screamed in frustration as she couldn't find me. Then she turned and thankfully headed upstairs. When I heard her get in the bedroom and start throwing things, I quietly crept out of the closet and grabbed my phone and car keys. I ran to the door, no longer caring if she heard me. I was getting the fuck out of there. "No!" I heard her scream as I ran in the car. I started the car and backed out the driveway as fast as I could. As I was leaving, I looked at the house one last time, and somehow she was already at the front door. She must have been running impossibly fast to make it downstairs that quickly. I turned my gaze back to the road and sped away. After 10 minutes, I pulled into a hotel and booked a room for 2 nights. I've been here for a few hours now, trying to calm down. I just started getting missed calls and texts from Jamie, wondering where the hell I'm at. I'm not ready to talk now, even though I know I need to confront her about her scary and violent sleepwalking. I'll update after I talk to her to figure out what to do next. Any help would be appreciated, as what in the hell I'm dealing with here.